Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have been waiting and we have come. Welcome to the Grid Championship, or should I say Guten Tag. Welcome to Nurburgring GP Strecke, as it's more commonly known here in Germany, for round 4 of the Grid Championship, powered by MTN, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. Joining me in the box is the one, the only, Janneman Price. Janneman, how are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Stephen. Yeah, I see you still have my ugly picture there on. So, as you said it, we are going racing at Nurburgring, and looking forward to this one. If the sprint race of last night was anything to go by, I think this is going to be a very close fought battle. Don't forget, we've got 2 mandatory pit stops that the drivers need to contend with, and I think it will be interesting to see what strategy they're going to follow. Are there going to be drivers pitting a little bit early, or are they going to leave it out a little bit later to see what the tires are doing?
Yeah, that's something to bear in mind. And to everyone out there in the world of Mettlestate and at RaceFace in the grandstands, thank you very much for joining us. We're looking forward to some great racing here at the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace, but also powered by MTN. A couple of interesting things happening though. We've got Robert McCall saying got load shedding, trying to get the inverter going. Not sure how long it will last, but they're going to try and get Morgan out on the circuit, which is great to see. We do know that we've got Paul Fenter, who is unfortunately out because he decided to fix his rig using his toe and managed to break his pinky toe while tripping over his kids' toys. And yeah, well, that's one way to start it off. But
he managed to break stuff even more.
But gentlemen, while we're talking about this, let's take a look at the Nürburgring track. For anyone that hasn't been here to the Nürburgring GP, let's take a look at it. Why don't you take us through a track walk of this magnificent circuit? Ooh, geez, I lost a bit of English there.
Your English ran up. Well, Stephen, turn 1, the Yokohama curve, very tight right-hander, one of the hardest braking zones on the circuit, right into turn 1. Essentially turn 2, but let's call it turn 1. Then follows the Mercedes Arena. That's a very tight double left-hander, followed by a tight right-hander. You need to get your flow through there correct in order to be quick on this circuit. I normally tend to get it wrong, lose a lot of time, lose a lot of drive out of there. And then we move on to the next left-hander, and then the forward curve. Stephen, you spoke about it last night, and I want to mention it again. It is a curve that if you get it wrong, you can also lose a lot of time. Some drivers opting for different gearing, some take it in second, others keep it in third. And then, that straight, one of the other overtaking possibilities we've got is into the Dunlop curve, the tight right-hander. We've seen a lot of action there last night. Will we see it again? And then round there through the Schumacher S's. That's almost flat out through there. If you have the correct setup, you follow the correct line, I'm pretty sure you can get it flat out through the Schumacher S's. Then up there, then you got another hard braking, not as hard as turn 1, that left-hander. And then the long right-hander, where you need to get that flow through that corner right, get the drive, the Warsteiner curve, onto the back straight where you've got the Advent curve, which is totally flat out. And then we get to the NGK chicane. Now, Stephen also saw a lot of action there in all the races that we've commentated on. It's a chicane that we see the cars normally take a lot of curve. They try and straight line it through there without exceeding track limits. Trying not to run wide on exit. Very easy to run wide onto exit before the last corner. And, very easy to lose it as well through there. and then back on to the pit straight. And that is essentially a lap of the short Nurburgring. I won't be able to do a track walk on the long Nurburgring. I'm going to get lost.
You can see parts of the Nordschleife circuit
You can
if you turn left.
just see it there.
It's there. But we're going to be heading out into qualifying, Janneman, and this is where it's going to get interesting. The drivers all looking to duke it out here for round 4 of the Grid Championship. And let's go down to the circuit. So there we go. Tim, the cameraman, giving us a bit of an insight of what the circuit looks like. Ronaldo Boersma first out the pits. AJ de Kock in second place out of the pits. He's hoping to get a little bit more of a charge. Fleming Bauer, Johan van der Merwe, Tariq Adam currently leading the championship. And we've got to talk about that because he's at 150 points ahead of a fellow teammate, Christian Deploy, who is lying in second place. So Christian Deploy is going to look to try and get a little bit more pace. And there is Christian Deploy out on screen. Third place is the likes of Daniel Demartros Brito. So let's see what Daniel will be able to do. We did understand he had a bit of a rough time last race. He landed up having last night he landed up having the whole generator give up the ghost. And he's now back up and going. Good to see the guys getting some recovery out there. Fourth place is Daniel Rowe from Hybrid Academy. I'm just trying to find him in the list here. Just to go and highlight his car, but I don't actually see him in my list. So, Daniel Rowe, I don't see him there.
I do see a Mr. Paul Fenter there.
Yeah, I see Paul Fenter jumping into the grandstands. Fifth place, Henry Mayer. He is looking to get a little bit more of a run. Ryan Ottens lying in sixth place. Then we got Q and Duper C, who is out in seventh place in the standings. Johan van der Merwe would be lying in eighth place. Ronaldo Boersma is in ninth, and 10th is Fleming Bauer. That is our top 10 in the driver standings for the Grid Championship at the moment. But we're in for a brilliant, hard race coming on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen tonight. There's a couple of drivers that want to make up a little bit of ground in that championship. The likes of Daniel Rowe sitting in fourth place. I'm sure he's going to try and take the charge to the front. But, even out of that top 10, Stephen, there's drivers that are just out of that top 10 by 1 or 2 points. I'm pretty sure a couple of them are going to try and fight their way into that top 10 and as far as possible up the ladder. We basically almost halfway through the championship. So there's still a lot of points to be scored in this championship.
That's it. And the Grid Championship is the championship you want to be involved in sim racing. It's the creme de la creme, if I can put it that way, where you've got the fastest of the fast here in South Africa doing battle. We've got a couple of overseas internationals also coming in and having a bit of fun with us. But we've got the best in South Africa. This is our pro server. We do have a Pro-Am, an Am, a Gold, and a Silver, all going and breaking up. So no matter what your abilities are, whether you're a little bit slower, you do have someone to race with, or if you're the fastest, you get to duke it out with the fastest in the country, going and battling it out. And I'm talking about drivers that represent overseas as well for South Africa, which is just amazing to have the talent all pulled together. And the championship has been a bit of an interesting one. Tariq Adam, yes, has been leading out the front, but we have been seeing some proper fights going in with Christian Deploy, Ryan Ottens, Daniel Rowe, all going down to the wire. We've seen Alan Patterson get into a good bit of fights. We've seen Cameron de Bastos, also Eric Kirstein. And one thing I got to say, Eric Kirstein finally just not in a pure black car. I can't get over the fact that it's finally got a livery. Eric, thank you so much, buddy.
It's got red rims.
It's got colors. Yeah. But for anyone that doesn't know, Eric Kirstein for the last 2-3 seasons has been running in a standard pure black livery. It's finally got some colors to him. Out in front, though, Daniel Demartros Pretra in first place. He's getting the jump on Ronaldo Boersma in second. Third place, Morgan McCall, hoping to get a little bit more of a charge, and honestly having a huge amount of fun out there. Good to see Morgan back out onto the circuit, and keep an eye on him. He's not in the fight for the championship, but do not take anything away from this kid. He knows how to drive and is really going to put the pressure down on all the drivers ahead of him. Henry Mayer in fourth place. Sorry, that's Giovanni Porzero in fourth place. Henry Mayer going into fifth place. Johan van der Merwe currently in sixth. Cameron de Bastos in seventh place. AJ De Kock in 8th, 9th is Jamie Reese, and Qin Duplessis is currently in 10th. But take a look at the lap times. 53.4 as the quickest lap time being set. Others getting into that 54 seconds, which, I mean, is incredibly quick around the circuit for anyone that hasn't tried. We've got 30 cars that are... They are here, but I do want to point out one that's sitting in the pits.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a
That's what I
broken.
said.
He's got a broken pinky toe. What are you planning
But I
to
said
do?
you said you don't see a Daniel Rowe. I said I see a Paul Venter.
With a broken pinky toe. What?
Yeah. Is he gonna? Paul. I assume there's no heel and toe tonight. It's only heel.
I mean, okay, cool. Right, we'll see that. Tariq Adam out into first place with a 153.4. He's going to get a little bit more of a jump. Daniel DeMarco Preto currently in second place. Henry Mayer in third. So Genesis currently first, second, and third. Ryan Ottens out in fourth place. We don't see a Daniel Rowe, and he's hoping to get a little bit
I see him
more
in the
run.
chat.
So
I would like to ask Daniel, why aren't you on track?
yeah, that's a bit of a strange one. Daniel not out.
Paul,
on the
right
track.
foot brake.
Right foot brake. Well, that's pretty much what he does in any case. Ronaldo Boersma in 5th, 6th, Morgan McCall, Nicholas Manuel, Unrik Sickers joining in the battle, Giovanni Porzero, SES Ace, Cameron de Bastos, Fleming Bauer, along with Justin Lotus, Daniel de Villiers, Alan Patterson, Jamie Reese, Vincent Nell, Johan van der Merwe, Leclerc Besson, AJ de Kock, Qin Duplessis, Ramon Ionka, 23rd, Johan Kleinans, make it 24th because he gets dropped down, Eric Hustain, Jean Viviers, we've seen him run out of fuel in the previous one at Watkins Glen. Mahayath Musa, Christopher Radloff, Christian Deploy, and Paul Fenter, who's just keeping it all together. Quite a expansion of drivers out here. Oh, we cannot forget Air Force One, who's not in Air Force One. It's ZRC Scuderia, that is SES. He's generally in Air Force One, but just not this evening. The Eagle has landed, so let's see what he's going to do.
Well, I see Paul in the chat said he's not racing. He tried and he cried. He's a poet.
And he completely
And he
knows
didn't.
it.
Yeah.
Because
I think he didn't even know it.
I think he did. I think it was all planned. But it's going to be an interesting...
Paul, how long did you work on that poem?
I got the message early on today, so it's been a fair amount of time. But we got Tim the cameraman out once again. A big shout out to Tim. We've also got Jim. You'll hear him later calling green. So a big thank you to Tim and Jim. They don't get too much love out there. Bob with the speeding camera, which we seen came into play last night in the GT3 Sprint Series, where the guys were getting drive-through penalties for exiting pits too fast. So let's see how this is going to work. The drivers are going to have to figure out what is going to work for them, how they're going to be able to climb up a ladder. But lots of pressure being put on to the likes of Tariq Adam at the moment, who's lying second place, leading out the championship. But he's on 150 points, and not to take it away, Christian Deploy, who's now in third place, is on 101. So he's slowly catching up. Daniel Dematros Prito, I do apologize, is in fourth place. He's currently third in the championship. So we've got a bit of a fight in the driver championship standings. Daniel Rowe, who's not out on the grid this evening, he is going to be helping out his team. So it's good to see. Then you've got Henry Mayer. He is currently lying fifth in the championship and has everything to gain at the moment because he's on 85 points. Daniel Rowe's on 86. So he's looking to jump into that fourth place rather quickly.
Yeah, Stephen, that midfield in the championship is very, very close, and it's unfortunate to not see Daniel Rowe out on track tonight. I think it's going to cost him a little bit in the championship if he's not racing tonight, so he'll have to try and make up that ground. But there's still a long way to go in this championship. It has by no means been decided yet, and I think there's still a lot of drivers out there that can make their way into that top 3, top 5, and also into the top 10.
It's going to be a very, very interesting one. And we've got to also point out that the whole series, powered by MTN, going and putting in that little bit more into the future generations and going and looking at the future of sports and coming into esports is absolutely incredible. And we will be having a couple of things because MTN's got a few things going on as well, which we'll be sharing with you guys in between the qualifying and at the end of the race. And also during the course of the race, we'll be sharing a bit of information, which is good. So a big thank you to MTN and Mettlestate for jumping on board here at RaceFace for the Grid Championship Season 4. Can you believe it? It's 4 seasons in, Janneman.
4 seasons, yeah.
So this...
It doesn't feel like that.
No, but this is incredible. We're getting to see the best of the best duke it out. And honestly, you've been on the grid with these drivers. You've got to see them. You've got to experience how fast they come up on you and what are they willing to do. They're willing to put everything out on the line, and you've got to just either step up your game or you've got to be patient. And yes, there is other servers such as our Pro-Am, our Am, our Gold, and our Silver, but everyone wants to be in this one right here, our pros doing battle.
Absolutely. And even throughout this grid, Stephen, you'll have different goals. And I know we've spoken about it before, but there will be drivers that are going onto that grid tonight to win the race. There will be drivers going onto that grid tonight to try and get a top 10. That will be as good as winning the race, top 20. And to be very honest, a lot of the time when I was racing in the pro grid, my goal for the night was not necessarily a position. It was actually not to get lapped.
I think everyone's mentality in this grid right now is there's a first place. There's a #1 trophy. We need to get that trophy. And we're going to do everything we can to get there. We're going to power our way through. Now, to talk about this, it's an hour and 20 minute race. We have got the likes of 2 mandatory pit stops. They are going to really change things up. And we saw a strategy for the first time not working, and that was pitting right at the last. Sanjan Pillay was actually the one to go and land up with that extreme amount of pain of 130 seconds because he pitted outside of the pit window and he got on the power too early, so he wasn't able to serve any penalty afterwards. So 130 seconds were added to his time, but it also showed guys could only push it till the last 10 minutes of a race. They couldn't go any deeper into that because of how close the field was. Now, generally, during the course of the season, we've seen guys power their way through to the top and focus on becoming that #1, pitting right at the last minute. It seems like here at Nurburgring, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the other thing also to take into consideration from last night, I mean, the field was so close together that the drivers were trying to score that 0.1 of a second, because that's literally what some of the gaps was, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 of a second. And that's also where we saw mistakes creeping in a little bit. That's taking a lot of curb.
Now, that was Daniel playing a hop, skip, and a jump, definitely over the NGK chicane, and, NGK showing off what it can do. Ryan Otson's putting himself into second place. Sorry to butt you in there.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
But you're having fun.
I'm having fun. No, what I was trying to say is, that is something that can make mistakes creep in. You're running those kind of tight gaps. The other thing also tonight, will we see track limits play a little bit of a part? Nurburgring has got a couple of places where you can just overstep those boundaries a little bit. And will there be drivers that are going to overstep those boundaries just a little bit too much?
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye out for. Currently, though, Ronaldo Boersma leading out the field, a 1:53.2 as his quickest lap time. That is insanely quick. Sorry, I need to get this right because this is how far we've gotten. A 1:53.207. 0.028 of a second behind is Ryan Ottens. He drops into...
Try that again.
Yeah, no, he drops into third place because Ronaldo Boersma, it goes and he drops into second. Giovanni with a 1:53.187. My heavens! How are these guys getting so quick? Ronaldo Boersma trying to beat out the time. Ryan Ottens, unfortunately, I think he's pretty much sorted and is going to have to eye it out in third place. Christian Deploy still on the charge and 1:53.322. Tariq Adam, our current leader of the championship, he's lying in fifth place, and I think the sweat's starting to roll down the brow. He's a little bit quicker through the last sector. 0.2 up. Is it going to be enough to rocket him up to the top? We're going to find out now.
Here he goes.
And he does.
Wow. Almost a 152.
1:53.067. Christian Deploy comes with a 1:53.107. Daniel Demetrius-Petro, 1:53.170. Morgan McCall up into fourth place, 1:53.175. And then you've got Giovanni Porzero, 1:53.187. Ronaldo Boersma, he's still giving it everything he's got. He's currently at a 1:53.207. Ryan Ottens, a 1:53.235. Henry Mayer, a 1:53.522. I mean, these are quick. From 1st to 13th, they're in the 1:53s.
Yeah, and, the top 7 separated by less than 0.2 of a second.
Well,
that's how closely matched these drivers are.
Let's cut to a break, and we'll be back for the racing here at the Grid Championship Round 4. And race. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the race. Let's take a look through this, Yaneman, because we've got a lot to talk about. And let's try and get... So it's all working. Tariq Adam in first place. We have got Christian Deploy in second. Daniel Demetrius-Petro, along with Morgan McCall, Giovanni Porzero, Ronaldo Boersma, Ryan Ottens, Henry Mayer, Christopher Radloff, Cuban Duplessis, Johan van der Merwe, Nicholas Manuel, Daniel De Villiers, Cameron De Bastos, Fleming Bauer in 15th. 16th is AJ de Kock, followed by Vincent Nel, Unrik Sekkers, Mahayath Musa, Justin Lotus, Leclerc Basson, SES Days, Grant Sebastian, Jamie Rees, Johan Kleinans, Alan Patterson, Jean Viviers, Ramona Jonker, Eric Kirstein, and Paul Fenter rounding out our field here tonight. I had to do it quick. I had to do it quick because they've got 3 corners, and one thing we haven't spoken about, which I'm sure a couple of drivers are taking a look, it looks a little bit, well, late in the day, might I add, and I do think we're going to see some headlights coming on.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like the sun is setting, and hour and 20-minute race, it's a long time, so definitely can get dark. I'll keep an eye on the weather forecast. Who knows? We might get darkness and rain simultaneously. You never know.
Oh,
just
no.
liven up a bit.
It will be a different one. As you can see, everyone jumping down off those air jacks and onto the ground, getting ready to go to start their race. The stress starting to come in. The knowing what's going to happen as they take off. Tariq Adam in first place. Christian Deploy in second place. Remember, 2 teammates, but at the same time, they're fighting for a championship. Then you've got Daniel Demetrius-Petro. He is currently fighting out for the championship. Morgan McCall has nothing to lose, but everything to gain in fourth place. Then Giovanni Porzero in fifth. Ronaldo Boersma. But we make our way down to the line, and we wait for Jim to call green Jim, it's on you, buddy. Hour and 20 minutes of racing. And away we go. Tariq Adam off to a flying of a start. Christian Deploy trying to go defensive. Daniel DeMarcho's Picho going and dropping in behind. Morgan McCall looking to take the battle. Ronaldo Bursma trying to go late on the brakes. He's going to try and sink it in. Ryan Ottens looks for the inside and goes defensive, holding back the likes of Christopher Adloff, Johan van der Merwe, and Giovanni Porzero as they all fight their way through. It does look like Daniel De Villiers is also getting a phenomenal drive out of the corner. And it also seems like Giovanni getting pushed out wide. That's like Q Duplessis to go around on the inside. Going to switch it around. He's going to be on the outside as they make their way out of the Mercedes arena. And now on their way down. So let's see how this is going to work. Ahead of them, Ronaldo Bursma, Johan van der Merwe. And take a look at Bursma around the outside. 2 positions. Hard onto the brakes. Just gets ahead of Ottens. Now Ottens is pushed out a little bit wide. He's going to lose out the drive. And Johan van der Merwe lining up side by side as they make their way through. Morgan McCall still keeping in tow, realizing he's got a bit of a problem as they enter the tight hairpin at the bottom. It does look like Johan van der Merwe gets past Ryan Ottens. Christopher Radloff having to stand on the anchors a little bit as they maneuver their way through. But Christopher Radloff starting to feel the pressure as Giovanni's all over the back of him.
Yeah, I mean, awesome start by the drivers. Stephen turn 1 looked absolutely clean. 1 or 2 little contacts, nothing major. All of them got through there cleanly, and now the race is on as we have a look at Giovanni Porzio. He's going to try and get on the back of Christopher Adloff, following him through onto this back straight section, which isn't straight. Radloff covering that inside line. He's already gone defensive, obviously realizing that Porzio is on him. Over the cliffs. Oh, Porzio getting out of shape.
And there goes Porzio. If you go left, you'll hit the Nordschleife, but that's just killed his drive. And we also took a little bit further back. There's a battle. Cameron de Bastos, Fleming Bauer, Vincent Nell, all in a fight of their own. Couple of cars, though, pulling into the pits as they try and get that first mandatory pit stop out of the way. Now, we did see something very interesting. It takes about 35 seconds for a splash and dash. Now, you go and add on to it of a 30 seconds for tires. The guys are going to have to keep that in mind. Q Duplessis getting past Giovanni. Giovanni's still battling a bit. I think he's taken a bit of a knock on those tires as Cameron de Bastos looks up on the inside of him and trying to put a bit of pressure. Fleming Bauer also following suit. Do you think Giovanni, just that little jump over the curb, a little bit of a slide, has hurt the rear tires a little bit?
Well, he definitely took a bit of a jump and maybe a bit of a slide. I think Steven Tyres just overheated a little bit, maybe, and now he's going to take him a lap or so to just pull himself towards himself as we have a look at Cameron de Bastos battling it out. This is an absolute mental battle. I mean, there's 5 odd cars in this battle as they fight their way around.
Fleming Bauer had to really straighten out to the steering as Cameron de Bastos got right up against the back of Giovanni. The whole thing concertinaing on the effect. And this is the one thing you did talk about last night and what you've mentioned throughout the season is the guys are having to run so close to one another and also have to be so careful maneuvering their way through the field. Everyone having to just be patient and follow the leader a little bit. But if you want to go for the pass, you can't second guess it. You're just going to have to jump on it. A little bit further up the road, though, Ronaldo Bursma onto the back of Morgan McCall. Morgan holding 4th place, but Ronaldo Bursma into the tow, trying to catch up to his teammates ahead of him. And you could see Morgan walking him closer to the wall. Ronaldo saying, nope, I'm going to go for the outside. You want to try walk me out there? That's not going to happen. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Both in the same machines, just different setups. And it does look like Morgan McCall was able to brake a fraction later than Ronaldo Bursma. Interesting enough, though, Morgan McCall does have a little bit more front suspension travel, which tells me it's a little bit softer on the nose as he maneuvers his way through. Maybe just to try and preserve the tires a little bit. Maybe he likes the understeer, likes having the weight shift around a little bit more, or working on that when the tank gets a little bit lighter.
Well, you were talking about understeer, and I spoke to one of the Lamborghini drivers during the past week, and, you know, they say understeer not always the best thing on the Lambo because they chows through the front tires. But Stephen, having a quick look, Fleming Bauer has toppled down the timing screens. he had a little bit of contact, so he will have to try and make up for lost time. Not Fleming Bauer, it was Cameron de Bastos. My mistake.
Now there he is.
He had a bit of a...
He's down in 17th position.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can go back. Would be roughly a minute.
It was contact between him and Fleming Bauer. That's where I got had the surnames all crossed up.
I think going back a minute,
At the last corner, yeah.
Yeah, this is going back a minute, and it looks like he's all by his lonesome self. So we may have just missed out on the contact. Doesn't look like too much damage to the McLaren. He's still keeping it together. We don't know what those tires are going to be looking like, but he's not having too much of an issue. I don't see any aero damage on the car. Generally, you get to see a few scuff marks on the vehicles. He looks to be okay at the moment. One person that's not okay, Morgan McCall, has got Ronaldo Boersma once again going around the outside. Goes for a bit of a cutback into turn 1, and Morgan McCall is having a fight of his life here, and Ronaldo Boersma in a proper charge. But take a look, the McLaren of Johan van der Merwe and Ryan Ottens in the Ferrari starting to close down on 4th place, 4th and 5th at the moment, and this is going to close the train up quite a bit. I see a bit of contact also gone on with Vincent Nell and Johan Kleinans a little bit further down, so they're dropping down. Kleinans losing out because here comes Ramon Ionka along with John Viviers all over the back of him. So they landed up in a coming to blows, but out in front, we have got a 4-car train, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is all essentially turning out for a battle for 4th place, as we've got Boersma, Van der Merwe, and Ryan Ottens all behind Morgan McCall. Morgan trying his utmost best to open up that gap to Boersma just behind him. And I think at this stage, Morgan is hoping that the likes of Van der Merwe and Ottens can really start, keeping Boersma a little bit busy and allowing him to just open up that gap a little bit.
Now, Van der Merwe seems a little bit more together through the Schumacher S's, but Boersma able to get the power down a little bit early, and more, as he said, Morgan McCall now starting to forget about his mirrors. Ryan Ottens and Christopher Radloff are just laying him waiting. They're not putting too much of a charge. But out in front, Tariq Adam, first place, but take a look at that lap time. 1:53.87 as his quickest lap time. Christian Deploy in second place has got Daniel Demartro Prito right behind him. And now Daniel said that all he wants to do is cross the finish line. He's going to do his damnedest to do it. And if it means he has to get round Christian Deploy, he's going to try his utmost best. Morgan McCall down in 4th place has got Ronaldo Boersma onto the back of him. Ronaldo not close enough this time to go around the outside through turn 1. But Johan van der Merwe under braking really closed up the distance to the likes of Boersma. So that McLaren just hanging on by the skin of its teeth at the moment. But makes me wonder, the more you push, the harder these tires are going to take flack. And then also we've got to consider fuel usage coming into play. A little bit further down, we've got John Viviers and Cameron de Bastos. All right, Tim caught that one.
Look away, Tim. Look away.
I actually want to take a look at that, and Tim going and giving us... Let's take a look in the helmet cam, because this is Cameron de Bastos with Jean Viviers around in front of him. So Viviers, sorry, not Viviers, Viviers just ahead of him. Ow, and into turn 1, just late lunge. Tried it under braking, couldn't make it stick. Goes for turn 2, and a little bit of contact on the rear, just enough to turn the cars around. So Viviers having a bit of a rough one there, and having to play a little bit of catch up. Back out to the front though, Morgan McCall, Ronaldo Boersma battling out once again, and you can see Boersma starting to drop a wheel on the dirt. Do you think the red mist starting to come into play?
Yeah, definitely. He's trying to set his sights on Morgan McCall, and when you're battling that close and you start focusing on that car up ahead, Stephen, it's very easy to make those types of mistakes.
Oh, there we go. Boersma in
the pits.
Boersma in the pits, and Christian Deploy swapping out with Daniel.
Yeah, so I think that's a bit of a strategy between Daniel and Christian. But do you think Boersma felt that he was getting held up behind Morgan and tried for the undercut?
I've got a funny feeling because he needs to get ahead of Nicholas Manuel down in 18th position, who's completed his first pit stop, and he's the first to have completed his pit stop. Then you got Mahath Musa, who's got Giovanni Paulzero right on the back of him. Mahath Musa putting in a huge fight to try and keep it all together. And then followed by Justin Lotus, Leclerc Basson, Alan Patterson also done and dusted here with his first pit stop. SES all over the back of him. Grant Sebastian, Henry Mayer are trying to close up the gap with AJ Lecoq, Eric Kirstein, Anrik Sikkers, and then you got Paul Fenter who's chilling in the pits. Paul Fenter's just, he's relaxing at the moment. As I said, he's enjoying the lights.
He's very, very clever. There's 30 cars out on the grid. The top 32 scores points. So by chilling in the pits, he's still scoring points by not leaving the server.
Yeah, in a way, yes. But still, I can...
Come on, Paul, give us a lap or two.
With a broken pinky toe. But when I got that story, I was like, I can't believe you actually landed up with that. When I first heard it, the first thing that came to mind was, you're pulling my finger. You're pulling my finger. But we get these strange stories. I mean, we had last night one of the sim racers saying that his brake pedal physically broke last night. He had the spring come launching out of his pedal set and landing up into the wall. So we've seen mechanical failures. We've seen stranger things. But as you said, he's in there. He's looking to try and score points, whatever he can. And, well, as many people are saying in terms of the boxing fight, Paul Fenter...
Rig 1, all 0.
Yeah, that's it. Close battle going on for 20th and 19th position. Mahath Musa with Giovanni all over the back of him. And Mahath Musa, who's been on an absolute charge at the moment, with Giovanni trying to close down the distance right behind him. Leclerc Basson also on a great drive. He's onto the back of Justin Lotus and trying to force a mistake. In turn, that's allowing Alan Patterson and Essie Estes to go and close down the distance between the two of them.
Yeah, close battles throughout the field, Stephen, or up and down the field. But out in front, Tariq Adams is open now, an almost 4-second gap over Daniel de Matos Prito, which is starting to pull away in turn from Christian Deploy. So, do you think Christian may be struggling with the car at the moment or during this phase of the race? And that's allowing Daniel to move past. I think that was a strategic move and open the gap on him. But we'll have to see what Morgan McCall's doing. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was a strategic move, and as we see, the likes of Fafiers and Nicholas Manuel under braking into the hairpin, but Fafiers coming back at him, and not an easy way to go for a pass. Mahath Musa has got Giovanni all over the back of him as well, so these four are very, very close to one another. And also starting to have a bit of a race. And this is 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th position that are fighting it out for their top honors, which is good to see out there. Now, you did talk about this phase of the race. Yes, let's go and talk about what the track temperature is. 19 degrees Celsius, which is a tad chilly. And you've got to ensure your pressures are just right. Too high, you're not going to get grip. Too low, you're going to wear the tires out. As for Fears going and losing out a bit of drive, and that's allowed Mahath Musa to go and close up on him. NGK was not his friend, and now has got a big burly BMW right behind him. That BMW M4 GT3 2020, that would be the 2023 or 2022 spec car.
2022, I think.
Yeah, it would be 2022.
Oh, on the inside.
Yeah, under braking. Sure. That BMW is really trying to close down the distance. Mahath Musa taking a bit of liberties here and really standing on the anchors. But just watch how much that car actually moves under braking. That BMW is not all too settled. He's taking a lot of the weight off the rear, putting it onto the nose, and then as he gets back onto the power. So it is having a bit of a seesaw effect at the moment. Maybe it's just to try and relieve some of the pressure off the tires. Maybe it's just the nature of the car coming into play, but he is in a bit of a fight at the moment because just ahead of him and behind him is all mid-engined.
Yeah, I mean, Fafier's in front, Porzio behind him, and Porzio almost taking a little bit of evasive action there under braking and losing drive on the exit of the corner, but Musa absolutely planted on the rear wing of Fafier's as they go through the Schumacher S's. Is he? Oh, he got a little bit out of shape there. I wanted to say, is he close enough to have a look on the inside, but now he needs to defend from Porzio.
Oh, my heavens, and Porzio really taking the fight, making his way past. And, you know, I've got to give it up to drivers. In those two little corners, you've got to really trust who's around you. And now it's heading up to the chicane.
So not backing out.
Nope, he backs out of it last minute, though. But he's going to try get a little bit more drive. That kills it out, though. That wasn't going to work. A little bit
He went for it.
He went for it. He tried. A little bit further up the road, Ramon Ionka and Cameron de Bastos are getting close to one another. It's McLaren versus Ferrari. Ramon Ionka doing everything he can to close down the distance. I see Alan Patterson, though, off the circuit. And that, I think that was NGK going and doing what it does best. Into the NGK chicane. Let's go into the helmet cam.
Throwing out a spark or two.
Yeah. Leclerc Basson dives in on the inside. Too much curb. Gets a bite back. And, he had to counter steer. There's the snap counter. Oh, man.
That went from bad to worse.
You know, you get to a point with some of these cars where you're having to play catch-up. You're no longer driving the car, but catching up to the car. And
or the car driving you.
Well, that's it. Or the horses pulling the cart. Grant Sebastian's got Henry Mayer onto the back of him. Remember, they pitted very, very early in the race and putting up a immense charge at the moment. Henry Mayer all over the back of Grant Sebastian. Now, Grant Sebastian is lying in 25th, and we'll be keeping an eye on this because he's a little bit further down in the championship. And if I go into my listing over here, because this is never scripted, Grant Sebastian is in 35th position. Henry Mayer, on the other hand, though, is a little bit further up. He's currently lying 5th in the championship, so at the moment he needs to try and stomp on past and get closer to his teammates ahead of him, or even to any of the cars ahead of him to try and close down the distance. But out in front is Tariq Alam, followed by Daniel Demetrios Prieto. And I do want to, I do apologize. I do want to highlight for him because at the moment, 1:53.612 as the quickest lap time for him. And quickest lap time of the race, so he is properly on a charge since he's got past Christian Deploy. Morgan McCall trying to close down the distance. Jan van der Merwe, who hasn't got much breathing room with Ryan Ottens in 6th place. Christopher Radloff also closing down the distance right behind him. Kewan Duplessis in 8th position. Fleming Bauer in 9th. And 10th position is the likes of Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. Well, can we continue calling him the Hitman? Because, as I said that, he gets a little bit of a twitch with the Lamborghini. But Daniel de Villiers has been very well behaved. I give him that.
But I think it's a name that's going to stick. It's just one of those names. Once you get it, it's a nickname that you wear with pride, and that's what Daniel does. He wears that nickname with pride. I haven't seen a sticker on his car yet that says the Hitman, but who knows? Maybe that will come.
He's in the stealth black, got it undercover, stealth bomber sort of style. Then Jamie Reese in 11th place, along with Vincent Nell closing down the distance in 12th. Johan Kleinans in 13th place. We saw him involved in a bit of carnage early on. Cameron de Bastos in 14th. 15th is Ramon Ionka. First of everyone that's done their pit stops, though, is Ronaldo Boersma. He's completed one of his 2 mandatory pit stops. He's lying in 16th. Nicholas Manuel in 17th. 18th, Giovanni Porzero. Mahath Musa. Justin Lotus. Jean Viviers, I do apologize, has got SESAs up on the inside. And if there was a millimeter gap, he was going to go for it. Essie trying everything he can. And Viviers going over the curb, losing out the drive. Here comes Essie, though, around the outside, over the apex, cut the nose off and says, thank you very much. I'm going to take that with pride. But that is going to give Viviers the drive down the main straight in the slipstream. If he can close down the distance, I think he's a little bit too far back.
No, he lost too much drive on that one. So he will have to try and take the fight to Essie in order to close that gap down a little bit. But teammate Basson not too far behind. He needs to just watch out for that one as well.
Yeah, and remember, Basson's done a pit stop. Viviers, though, hasn't. Alan Patterson in 24th position. He's also making up some ground. Grant Sebastian in 25th. Eric Kirstein along with AJ de Kock. Ulrich Sichers is in 28th. 29th position is Henry Mayer. And I do want to point out
all these pit stops.
He's done all these pit stops.
Interesting strategy, but the
Will it
front
be
end
too
of that
early,
Ferrari... Yeah, but the front end of that Ferrari does look like it's seen a little bit of better days, so maybe he had some damage repaired on his second stop.
I'll just try and get a bit of work done because, I mean, 29th position, you've got 58 minutes to go. I don't know whether that was the move to go for it. And as you said, there's a bit of damage to the front of that car. That tells me that it didn't quite go to plan, I think. No. So this is going to be an interesting one. He's running in clear air, but I don't think it was the strategy from the start. So let's see how it's going to work. The drivers all now starting to get into their stride, and this is where the race starts becoming more technical, because you're going to have your teammates having a chat in your ear saying, right, this is what we need to do. Let's start looking at where it's all going to go. How are we going to be able to moving forward? What do we need to do? And it's one of the type of things I like. It's a bit of an interesting one. We're getting a bit of information coming in from Cody Sherritt. And good to see Cody Sherritt popping up. Our 3-time defending champion who is handing over the crown this time round, saying that Henry Mayer landed up with 20 seconds of damage early on in the race and now is playing a bit of catch up. Daniel Rowe going and saying, okay, well, he thought that might have been the case. So we've got Daniel Rowe giving information to his team, Cody Sherritt also giving information to his team. But I want to say thank you to the guys also to give us information, because it would be nice to be a fly on the wall to hear the radio comms going through on what's happening as we see Ramon Yonka with Ronaldo Boersma making quick work of him around the inside.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say, Stephen. You know what? Maybe they'll give us some inside info comms. Maybe give us access to the channel. Who knows what might happen?
We got to start playing with all sorts of new tech. That's all I can say.
Yeah, now Cody says he's the race engineer. Cody, that means you can give the access.
Oh, get some of the information. Remember, there's open microphones. You got to be very careful of what info you give. Just ask Ferrari how well did they do back in 2009. Where they blurted over the radio and it wasn't delayed, and it landed up with them losing nearly the championship. So, got to be very careful when it comes to it. Yeah.
But you know, it will add a nice aspect. You know, like they do in Formula One. We can have a chat to the race engineers on the pit wall live. So, how do you feel the race is going?
Well, maybe it's a thought process. We do have something. This is going to be... We do have provision for it. So if anyone is feeling brave enough to come have a chat, you're more than welcome.
Daniel Rowe says he's not a race engineer. He's just watching. But Daniel, I need to ask the question. Why aren't you racing?
Yeah, because that does actually impact into
And
the
why is
championship.
Bago chatting?
Because Bago's lost. That's why he's in the Rothman colors in a single-seater still.
Maybe he took the left turn onto the Nordschleife and he's still completing lap 1.
Well,
Sorry, Bago.
these cars can do just over 6 minutes around the Nordschleife, 178 corners.
Okay, so he'll be on lap 2.
Yeah. Daniel De Villiers, though, has got Jamie Rees onto the back of him and Vincent Nell closing down the distance. So this is very, very interesting to see. I do want to ask, though, because there was a bet last race for the Grid Championship Round 3 between Paul Venter and Bago Krobler. I haven't forgotten. Did it work out? Did you guys complete your bet? That's my question that goes out to them. While we keep an eye on Daniel, the Hitman De Villiers, with Jamie Rees all over the back of him, and Vincent Nell closing down the distance as well. These three are fighting it out into the top 10, and it's turning into a rather close battle between them. Different in cars, though. Daniel's got more of a stiff Lamborghini. You can see not much movement as he goes into braking. Jamie Rees has got more of a loose setup. You can see how much is moving through the corners. And Vincent Nell in more of a safe setup. You could see he makes up in some parts of the track, but others just can't carry the momentum.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, Stephen, how the different drivers approach a race and what do the different drivers prefer. And what that can do is essentially the same car being the same make Lamborghini in front and the one of Nell in the background can handle very differently throughout the course of the lap as we see Rees running wide, and that's going to allow Nell to close that gap right down. Not close enough to look on the inside, but he's going to follow him around, get onto that rear wing, deciding not to stay in the slipstream. He's already looking on the inside through the kink on the back straight. They're going to go side by side to the last chicane. Who's going to back out? Oh, Rees deciding, yeah, better to just, losing it over the NGK chicane.
There we go. And now having to try and pull himself back onto track. He actually drove into pit lane at that point. And let's see if we can go back 30 seconds and just see from the helmet cam. We're going to see these arms get crossed up quite quickly as they
are about to get busy.
Yeah, because now he's stuck on the inside. He has no room. He backs out of it. Tries coming back late into it, though, over the first, over the second. And I think it was, and I'm going to put my foot in my mouth here because I've been there before, where you've given the space, you think that you've got the room, and now you're trying to cut back and you're into the braking zone, you're turning into the braking, and it just makes things a little bit more hectic. And I think that's what happened. He got all caught up. Instead of, he tried moving back onto the racing line, but wasn't quite there before the corner, and it was literally over the one set of curbs, over to the next, and unfortunately, that's all she wrote.
The videos and now, yeah. Now, just quickly saying, Daniel Rowe is actually on holiday, so that's why he says he's just giving other people a chance.
I totally believe that. Completely, absolutely believe that Mr. Rowe, Daniel's dad, will be allowing Daniel to have a break. Totally believe it.
Now when he says we...
And Bauer,
Daniel?
hang on. We just got information. Yeah. Bauer is disconnected.
No.
So the LNR driver of Fleming Bauer got a disconnection. And there he is jumping into the chat saying he had a disconnect. So maybe they can get that car back out into the grid. But he will be a little bit further down the order.
Well,
oh, man.
I think if he can get it back into the server, and come on, man, finish the race.
See the checkered flag. So, out in front, Tariq Adam leading the field, got a 5.8 second gap over his teammate, Daniel Demartro Pruto, along with Christian Deploy, Morgan McCall, 6.6 seconds behind Christian Deploy. Johan van der Merwe, though, has got Ryan Ottens all over the back of him for 5th and 6th position as they battle their way through. Christopher Radloff is just keeping an eye on the battle. He's 2.5 seconds down. Then you got Q and Duplessis, Daniel De Villiers with Vincent Nell all over the back of him. So our top 10 is currently into the closest battles. Everyone else is roughly about 2 seconds apart. But keep an eye out on Ronaldo Boersma in 14th position. He's completed first of all these stops. Henry Mayer, remember, has completed all these stops, sustained damage. He's lying in 28th position, trying to get a little bit more of a pace. So keep an eye out on those two. But Daniel De Villiers and Vincent Nell, both in those GT3 Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2s, going and fighting it out for position and fighting it out for 9th place. Then you've got Ryan Ottens and Johan van der Merwe, and that is the brand new McLaren that's out on the circuit, battling out with a Ferrari 296, which is Ferrari's return back to the brutal V8 like what they had. The 488 getting retired, and now bringing in something a little bit new, a little bit fresh, and having a great run at it. So some really impressive racing right the way through the field. The guys all trying to figure out what's going to be on top for them. Vincent Nell into the slipstream, though. He's definitely got more downforce on that car. He just can't make it up in the straight. Even in the slipstream, you can see he's only closing up under braking. Nicholas Manuel getting past Ramona Yonka. That's a little bit further back with Giovanni right behind him. And the 3 Ferraris all slugging it out. The horses are galloping down the straight of Nurburgring as they make their way through. This is going to be hard onto the brakes. So Giovanni looking up on the inside. He's going to try his might. And here comes the likes of Ramona Yonka for the cutback. Wasn't able to do it because Giovanni stopping dead on that apex and managing to slow the car down. Bravo on that, because not an easy thing to do, especially here at Nürburgring, down the hill, and to just get your braking absolutely right. I hate being on the inside of the circuit because it just can catch you out in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, it can, Stephen, but this little battle between Van der Merwe and Ottens is still raging on, and Ryan not really making an impact on Van der Merwe. So well done, soaking up the pressure. It's not easy having Mr. Ryan behind you, but at this stage it actually does look like Van der Merwe is starting to pull a little bit of a gap. I mean, well done to the driver for soaking up so much pressure and actually opening up the gap as they go through the NGK chicane, trying not to take too much curb, using all the track you can for this last corner in order to open it up and try to get the best drive possible out of the last quarter. Now Ryan Ottens is going to tuck into that toe again, but don't think he's really close enough, Stephen, for the toe to have much of an impact at this stage.
Well, I'm going to also point out here, we've got Cameron de Bastos. Daniel De Villiers, though, spun around. NGK chicane came out on the apex and pulling into the box. So he had a little bit of a coming together with Vincent Nell by the looks of it. So Vincent Nell in the green Lamborghini chasing down Daniel De Villiers of PWSR as they're heading up into the NGK chicane. You can see Nell looks up on the inside. Oh, man. Under braking. Yep, and there goes Clay Nuns. Here comes Cameron de Bastos and the likes of Jamie Reese seeing this going on. Couple of guys having to take a little bit of evasive action, seeing Lamborghini, unfortunately, getting rear-ended into the NGK chicane. So, couple of drivers having a bit of a tough time out there. Others having a good time. But I do want to point out, while we're seeing Ryan Ottens and Johan van der Merwe slugging it out between each other, check who just came past the shot. Morgan McCall starting to fall down a little bit closer to this battle.
Now, I've got inside info from the not race engineer on holiday, Daniel Rowe. He says Ryan has brake issues.
Ryan has brake issues?
Yeah. It's the middle pedal, Daniel Rowe, the middle pedal. Tell him.
Now, I got a question. If he's got brake issues, does that mean feather the throttle Let's see into. I want to see into turn 1.
What he's doing, yeah.
Okay, so he's feathering the throttle, first gear, second gear. Okay. Now, brake issues. What could it be that's going on with this car? Because it means he's...
Brakes overheating, possibly?
He's braking super hard. That I thought he was using less in terms of braking, but that is flat on the brakes to try and slow the car down, and engine braking the whole way through. So you may be right that he's got, just getting a bit of overheating happening.
He can really, get to Van der Merwe through the first couple of corners, but as the lap carries on, he might be overheating those brakes. Maybe close the brake ducts too much.
I think we're both wrong on this one, because we just got told he broke the brake pedal. So let me get this straight. He's gone from a load cell brake pedal to a Hall effect sensor brake pedal. Oh, come on, I race with that all the time, buddy. Keep going. It's all fine. You just got to remember where your foot is. Not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do, because you build up that muscle memory, and essentially you've got a switch of gear, and after having it break at Silverstone, well, he's on a good charge.
Yeah, another driver that has swapped brakes quite recently is Christian Deploy. He went from the Hall sensor to load cells, and doing really well at this stage. In third place.
Did he switch?
Yes, he did.
So he's upgraded.
He has upgraded, yeah.
Interesting. Right, so we've got guys.
I know what he's running, yes.
Let me guess, same as what you're running.
Yeah.
the CSP load cells. Okay, so going and putting a bit of work there. But, I mean, let's take a look. Tariq Adam out in first place. Now, I do want to bring up something interesting, because a lot of people, we talk about having upgrades. We talk about having all these fancy type of gear. We get to see it out on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all of that. But Tariq Adam is running a single screen, not a triple. So he's running a single screen, not a triple screen like what others do. And then you've got drivers further down the field. They're running on G29s, 923s, G27s, all old school steerings that are like 12 years old in their life, having a good time out there, having a bit of fun. And that relates back to gear doesn't make you faster. It can improve. Like load cell brake pedal makes a difference because you build that muscle memory, but it isn't going to make you jump into pro by spending 40,000 Rand worth of gear. You still can lose out to the guy that got the second-hand G27 off a mate because they betted how many Smarties are in a box.
Exactly. And, I mean, let's talk gear. I mean, Christian Deploy, if I'm not mistaken, he's on a G29 or G923. I'm not too sure which one of the two it is. But, as you said, Stephen, the price of the gear does not... We see a little bit of a...
I think that was
pause there.
Henry Mayer just giving a bit of space. Yeah, Henry Mayer, I think at this point has resided himself a little bit to a bit further down the field, and he's decided, he's going to just keep the momentum up at this point and circulate. Which, I mean, now I do want to give a bit of a shout out to that, because we've been in those situations where you feel like you just want to throw the towel in. You don't want to continue. That's it. You're over it. You're getting past. You're not making up positions. You're just keeping up a drive. But to keep that momentum, to keep the thought process in your head of, put that behind me. Let's just get going. Let's get it let's see that checkered flag. Hats off to you. Lots of respect.
Absolutely. And as you know, Stephen, me and you, we've got a never say die attitude. We will see the finish line no matter what. To quit. We're too dumb to quit unless the car quits on us, which has happened.
But that's what we're seeing with all our different drivers here at the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace, powered by MTN. the drivers all going and having this fantastic mentality of, all right, let's get this to the line. Let's go and fight it out. Let's have our chance to show off what we can do. That never say die attitude. And I put it down to, that is the South African attitude. That's what makes us who we are. Because even when the chips are down, we're going to give it our all. We're going to put it all out on the table despite the odds and take the fight to the rest of the drivers. And that, to me, is what makes it so, so special. Because we've got drivers, whether you're an AM, gold, silver, or even here in our pro tier, the guys are properly giving it their all and wearing their heart on their sleeves at the moment. Do want to go and talk about a few elephants in the room, though. Giovanni Pozzero, first of everyone that's completed their first mandatory pit stop. But further down, we have got the likes of Ronaldo Boersma, as our timing table goes and updates, is currently completed all his pit stops and will be closing down the distance. He's currently in 23rd position, so he is in a proper little race right down to the wire. Vincent Nell pulls in the pits, and I think Cameron de Bastos saw that and said, well, I'm bailing in the pits as well because I'm going to react to what's happening. We're starting to get to that timing window of 39 minutes left of the race, and the drivers are having to work out what's going to be the best to the end. What is going to be the strategies, and you're going to have to commit to it right until the wire.
Absolutely. Now, we need to talk about something else. I mean, the top 8, definitely, and then we've also got Cameron Bastos, Jamie Rees, Romano Jonker. They've pretty much made their strategy pretty clear because they have not stopped yet. We're already over halfway, so first stop is going to happen who knows when, but it's pretty clear that the last stop is going to happen as late as possible.
It's going to be a proper close one. Vincent Nell just getting ahead of SESA as he exited the pits, but Essie's all over the back of him. And as you said, they've committed their race to, all right, we're going to run this down to the wire. Grant Sebastian has completed his stop. He's got John Viviers, who's still yet to do a pit stop. Tariq Adam coming into the pits, so he's reacting to the rest of the field. Daniel Demartro Petro, he's going and continuing. Christian Deploy taking second place. Morgan McCall, he's going to keep on the power. He's not going to get into the box just as yet. Johan van der Merwe as well, going to keep going with Ryan Ottens right onto the back of him. So we've got a few drivers that are committing themselves to a very, very late stop. Tariq Adam, though, still in the box. Giovanni Pozzero is going to be coming around.
Tires.
So
it does look like Tariq is taking tires.
Now this is going to be an interesting one because we've seen how tires came into effect in Silverstone being the main one of how much you can gain. Now, looking at my listings over here, the only ones that I've seen that would have taken tires is Ronaldo Boersma, Johan Kleinans, Cameron de Bastos, Henrik Sichers, Jamie Rees, Nicholas Manuel, they've taken tires, AJ de Kock, and Eric Kirstein.
Here's one for you.
Tariq Adams taking tires. 32.9. Fuel and tires.
Now, here's one for you. Tariq Adams showed his hand fairly early. He's taking new tires, splitting the race roughly into 2 halves, and now he's going to head out on track. Fresh set of tackies. But do you think the likes of Morgan McCall, Ryan Ottens, Christian Deploy, now that they know he's taking tires, do you think they sitting, racing and thinking, can I get to the end on one set?
I think it's something to keep an eye out. Leclerc Basson pulling into the pits. Vincent Nell, Justin Lotus also in the pits. Henrik Sichers along with Jamie Rees coming into the box. So they're getting themselves done and dusted for the race. And I think it is a case there. Johan van der Merwe diving into the box. So he's getting his first stop done. And this is where we're going to start seeing this little bit of a shuffle going on. Tariq Adam currently leading out of everyone that's completed their that has done their first pit stop with Giovanni Porzio right behind him. So he's trying to get a little bit more of a run. Johan van der Merwe, though, still trying to get going as he's got both the EG and Hybrid Academy Evolved Road to Pro cars leaving. Q and Duplessis, he's going to keep the power down and keep going, but it's also getting pretty dark out there. The lights are starting to shine bright, and this is where it starts getting tricky. I feel that Romano Jonker, though, has committed himself to going as late as he can into the box. He is lying in 11th position. And then you got Jean Viviers, who is in 15th, that still needs to do his first pit stop. But the top 6, as pointed out, still need to get into the box for their first mandatory pit stop. And it's coming close. Another one I also want to talk about is Mahayev Musa. He's up into 8th position at the moment. That BMW has not taken new tires. It's only done a splash and dash, and is looking pretty good out there. But Ronaldo Boersma, down in 16th, has completed all his pit stops, along with the likes of Nicholas Manuel, Henry Mayer, Justin Lotus. So he's also a viable threat to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's sitting in actually a very good position to make his way up the field. As we have a look at Cameron de Bastos, he is battling it out. Kleinans on the inside. Is he going to make it stick?
He makes it stick.
McLaren's out on track.
Oh, sure. This I would have to put down to the likes of what we're seeing with Oscar Piastri versus... oh, guys are going to hate me because the name slipped my mind.
All that I'm going to say is, come on, Kleinans, turn that frown upside down on that McLaren.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting. Daniel Demetrius Preacher pulling into the pits. He's in 5th position, so he's going to drop down the order. Lots going on here. These two, though, Kleinans and De Bastos, they still need to do their last pit stop. They're kind of in a sandwich, so they're going to be reacting on one another on this move, and it's going to be a close one. I think their battle is going to be a very, very close one. Tariq Adam, though, is out into 6th position. He's done his first pit stop. And then you got Daniel Demetrio Preacher. He is in 7th position, making up a bit of ground as well. So it's something to be aware of. Mahayev Musa in 8th. So the drivers starting to wind down. They're starting to think, but that final pit stop is going to be wearing on their minds. Where others, like Romano Jonker, who is in a bit of a no man's land at the moment, and Fafirs, where they still need to do their first pit stop, they stuck in between the sandwich where it's not going to benefit them in keeping on going. They have to get it out and out the way as quick as possible at this point. Do want to point out, though, Tariq Adam did put out the fastest lap time on a new fresh set of tires. He goes and says thank you to one of the drivers. Good to see some good sportsmanship there. 1 minute 53.772, which is the quickest lap of the race. And that's on a fresh set of boots. So maybe the strategy of changing tires was a good idea. Daniel Demetrio Preacher is also one to keep an eye out for, because his best lap time was a 1:53.9. He did do a pit stop, so it's a 1:59.8 on his last run, but we will see that change. Maybe a set of tires would be a good idea, but with 31 minutes to go,
you're running out of time. Yeah,
that's it. You're in a bit of a situation at the moment of there is no time to actually put in a new set of boots.
Yeah. Essentially, for a new set of tires to help you out now. And I'm talking to the likes of Christian Deploy, Morgan McCall, all the guys that up to 5th position, or drivers up into 5th position that have not done a pit stop yet. In order to fit a new set of tires now, Tariq Adams will have to be a second a lap quicker than you. So what I mean by that, if you're losing 0.5 of a second to Tariq at this stage, it will not help you put a new set of tires on. You actually lose more time than what you get.
Well, it takes you a minute.
Yeah.
Tariq Adam, from entry to exit of the pits. Now, I'm using him as a as a good one because he was the fastest in and out through the pits. He did a 29.7 from entry to exit. He did a 29.7. I do apologize. With him stopped in the box, taking on a bit of fuel, did a 32.9. So you need to be about a minute ahead of your competition if you want to get ahead in terms of putting a set of tires on. Now, you've got Christian Deploy. He's only 11 seconds away from Morgan McCall. Ryan Ottens is 5.9 seconds behind Morgan. Christopher Radloff is only 3 seconds behind. And then you've got Q Du Plessis, who's 14.3 seconds behind. And, well, I'm terrible at math. I use calculators, and I will say that's the best I can do is using a calculator. But that looks a bit close.
You don't always press the correct button.
Yeah. I think that's not quite a minute away from the likes of Tariq Adam. It's not even a minute away from Ronaldo Boersma, who's down in 12th position.
But what I mean is it takes about 30 seconds to change a set of tires. I'm not talking from pit entry to pit exit. I'm talking stationary time. It's about 30 seconds.
But so entry to exit is also 30 seconds. Average.
Yeah. So if you are losing less than a minute, less than a second a lap, even more than a second a lap, because we only got 29 minutes to go. It takes roughly 1 minute 53, 1 minute 54 seconds. Let's call it 2 minutes to do a lap. So there's essentially only 15 laps left. So you can actually lose 2 seconds a lap to Tariq Adams, and you'll still gain more time by not fitting a new set of tires.
Yeah, I know. There's some.
I know my math was totally wrong there.
But it's not wrong in terms of a Tariq Adam going and doing a better lap time. 153.5 on his last lap.
What is Christian Deploy doing?
Christian Deploy's his last lap time was a 154.562. Morgan McCall in second place because of all the pit stops, 154.980. But Christian Deploy, no.
What happened?
No, he's trying to get himself going. No. What did we witness? What was
it? Another line error?
Hang on. Let's go in car. Third gear. No steering. He's got no steering. He's got power but no steering.
Disconnected. No.
Look, he's got throttle input but no steering.
Oh man.
What did we just witness?
We'll have to find out what happened there. We'll have to find out what happened there. Man,
ladies and gentlemen, this has just spun the whole thing on its head. Kalen Mauer says, how's it? Welcome, Kalen. Welcome to the Grid Championship. What you just missed is Christian Deploy having a steering disconnect. He had power. He could get onto the power, but he couldn't turn. What happened? I mean, but that's changed it. Morgan McCall is now leading the field. Ryan Ottens in second place. Christopher Radloff in third. Q Du Plessis in fourth.
Even Christian says when load shedding hit, the steering wheel disconnected. So obviously that split second when he went over to backup power.
It's a UPS second. Now, I do want to point out, we talk about 0.2 of a second.
No, he says he's on generator power. Remember, I had similar issues when I was on generator power, steering wheels disconnecting and those kind of.
So the fluctuation.
Fluctuation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just seen a mechanical failure, but that's taken our first place car out of the running and also who's second in the championship. Oh, man. I would not like to be in that box right now.
No.
Morgan McCall into the pit, so he's getting his pit stop done and dusted. That's like Christopher Radloff to jump into second place. Ryan Ottens out in first. Wow. Okay, well, all the thrills and spills that's coming out for this race, ladies and gentlemen, we always say we cannot tell you who's going to win the race. And we stand by that. As here comes Morgan McCall. He's got passed by Tariq Adam and holds back and gets into a bit of fight. I see there's contact. Cameron de Bastos and Fafirs, but Fafirs got a fair amount of damage onto the back of his car. Let's try and take a look at that and see what happened. It's Cameron de Bastos in the McLaren right behind Fafirs in the Ferrari. The white Ferrari just ahead, the 296. And it does look like Clanons is also onto the back of them. Did that Ferrari, yep, on the dirt, comes back on, and the two of them...
Evasive action.
Yep. Cameron tried going around the outside to avoid Fafirs, and Fafirs was just understeering miles off the circuit, and that landed up with both of them. But my heavens, we've got a race now. We've got a race, and Christian, if you can get that car out, or if anyone that's there, if you can get that car out, go. Just circulate. Try and score something for the championship, because at the moment, he is going to feel a world of pain. Cameron de Bastos, though, getting a bit of compliments from the grandstand, saying well done to go and take to the dirt. And yes, it did hurt, but he, it's something you don't actually get to think of. Listen, straighten it up, head into the dirt, rather take the dirt and battle your way out. As you see Q and Duplessis pulling into the pits. Man, I don't know what to say. I'm out of words.
Yeah, but back to the racing, Stephen. We need to go. Ryan Otten, Q and Duplessis can think now. I think now we can say with 23 minutes left, they're not going to take tires. There's no point in taking new tires now. So we got a race on our hands. Definitely a race on that.
Yeah, that's it. And we saw Christopher Radloff getting hustled by the likes of Vincent Nell. Tariq Adam in third place, though, putting in an incredible lap time of 1:53.8 on that last lap. His best lap time, though, 1:53.3, which is getting closer and closer to qualifying times. But Vincent Nell, who's in 20th position, is giving the likes of Christopher Radloff a little bit of a hustle, saying, buddy, you've got to get going, because I got Leclerc Besson. He's catching up to me rather quickly. And, well, I need some room, because Christopher Radloff doing 1:55.2, while Leclerc Besson and Vincent Nell, they doing into the 54s. So Vincent Nell's losing a bit of time to our second place man at the moment, and thinking, all right, well, I gotta get some drive here. But as you said, we're heading into that last little bit of the race, and it is going to be a proper run to the wire. So Ryan Otten's out in first place, Christopher Adloff in second, Tariq Adam in third, Morgan McCall in fourth, Daniel DeMarcos Precho in fifth place, sixth place is Johan van der Merwe, Q and Duplessis along with Ramona Jonker, Daniel de Villiers, Ronaldo Boersma, Johan Kleinans, Cameron de Bastos in 12th, 13th is Giovanni Porzero, Jean Fafirs is in 14th, 15th is Nicholas Manuel, SESA is in 16th, followed by Mahath Musa, Henry Mayer, Justin Lotus, Vincent Nell, Leclerc Besson, Alan Patterson still going around there, and still being the fastest commentator out on circuit. Good to see. Grant Sebastian has got Jamie Reese all over the back of him. AJ de Kock also closing down the distance. Ulrich Sichers and Eric Herstein currently still out on circuit. 27 cars remaining, 30 cars started. So, I mean, this is just turning into a proper run for every single one of these drivers. And it's so much on the line for the Grid Championship, fueled by MTN, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace.
You said it, Stephen. 21 minutes to go. Anything can still happen. There are drivers out there that are on entirely different strategies. I mean, the likes of Ryan Ottens, Christopher Radloff, they're obviously going the whole distance without changing tires. I much doubt if they're going to change tires now. Then we've got Tariq Adams.
Ronaldo Boersma diving up on the inside of Daniel de Villiers and making it stick. And remember, Boersma has completed all his pit stops, so he can't hang around. And we're just getting further reports from the pits that the Logitech did a software update, and that's why it all disconnected. Oh,
No.
man.
Auto update.
Disable. Absolutely disable.
Disable auto update now.
If it hasn't been disabled, it's been disabled now. Christopher Radloff in the box. That's going to allow Tariq Adam to take that second place. Ryan Otten's out in first place, so is trying everything he can. He has not pitted. So has Ramona Yonka hasn't pitted. And then you've got Fafirs has not pitted as well. So there's 3 cars that are still needing to do their mandatory pit stops, get the first of their mandatory pit stops done and dusted. And this is going to be a proper race down to the wire. 19 minutes to go, though. I'm not sure how it's going to work. But Morgan McCall out in third place has got everything to play for. Remember, he's not fighting in the championship as hard as the rest, but has everything to gain at this point. So let's see how this is going to work out. And man, oh man, call it favoritism, but I hope McCall sees that checkered flag, because if you want to talk about a season that has not gone his way, in 2 different seasons, the McCalls have had it from power outages to disconnects to internet failures to everything coming into play. I want to see that car cross the line.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, if Morgan crosses the line tonight, it will be the first race he has finished this season.
Yes, it will be the first race to cross the line this season in both the GT3 Sprint Series and the grid.
Now,
last night he was out due to load shedding.
Yeah, let's just get it straight. It's not due to quitting anything. Each and every race, there was some or other technical difficulty that was out of his control, and he could not finish the race.
Yeah, so it's not favoritism. It's just when you have a driver that's just on a bad luck streak.
If he didn't have bad luck, he'd had no luck at all.
That's it. So some good racing going on though. Grant Sebastian, Jamie Reese, and you could see it starting to get darker. Those lights starting to shine upon the circuit. It is 4 minutes past 8 in the sim world, and the guys are properly hammering it out here for the Grid Championship round 4. And there is parties going on, not only out here on the track, but also out in the grandstand over at Mettlestate. They've got huge amount of parties going on. Larissa Hawk is definitely the party, the party animal you want to go and have a chat to over at twitch.tv/Mettlestate. And then on the RaceFace grandstands, we have lots of guys also getting behind it in the pit wall, feeding us information, which is just absolutely tremendous stuff as they watch these drivers properly slug it out down to the wire. So far, the closest battle on circuit, though, Grant Sebastian, Jamie Reese, 0.8 of a second. Everyone else is roughly about 0.1, while there's roughly a second and a half of a gap between one another. Jamie Reese going after Grant Sebastian, runs out wide, but Grant from the Project Vapor team, and he's having a huge amount of fun in the retro colors, trying to keep it all together. And it's not an easy run out there. For a minute, I thought I saw a rabbit on the side of his car. That would have been a reference back to one of the old teams that were racing, was White Rabbit Gaming. So I had to double check on that one. My eyes deceived me. I'm starting to
put on the glasses, Steven.
Yeah, starting to fall back to the old nostalgia, if I can put it that way. But Yanuman, we're running out of time. 16 minutes to go. Ryan Otten still needing to pit. So is Ramona Yonka. So is Fafirs. They on the same strategy at this point. Tariq Adams done his first pit stop. Morgan McCall's done his first pit stop, and he's only 5.8 seconds behind Tariq Adam. Daniel Demartros Pretro is one to keep an eye out for, because on the last lap, he's in 4th place and got the fastest lap of the race, a 1:53.25, which he is on a proper charge. Remember, he's got a change of tires compared to the likes of Morgan McCall. So he's closing down the distance. Christopher Radloff in 5th place has done his pit stop. Jan van der Merwe and Kieran Duplessis. So this is going to be a lot of fun for the drivers to battle it out. And I've got to say, the racing is only getting better and better as the season goes on here at the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace and fueled by MTN. And a lot of guys actually going and taking a look at different races, saying, you know, we're racing in TCR, we're racing in single-seaters, F1s, F4s. And maybe it's also a good idea to throw the hat into the ring for the GT3 racing. And honestly, give it a try. There's lots of, even for you guys out at home that are thinking, is it going to be worth it? Well, there's Pro-Am, there's Am, there's Gold and Silver. So there's a home for everyone, no matter your skill level, that can do battle. And I think that's been the best part about it, is no matter your skill level, you can go racing and you can be in prestigious championships like the Grid Championship. But we are watching our pros, the best of the best in SA for the Sera Corsa Competizione, going and slugging it out and showing off their colors. And I've got to say, phenomenal drivers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking the grandstands like Roland Ferreira saying maybe you should switch out the TCR for a GT3. No, why don't you just race both? There's a couple of drivers that actually race both series.
Interesting.
No.
I want to go and point out something very interesting here that I saw on Morgan
What did I
McCall's
do
car.
now?
Notice he flicked up hazards right at the end. But take a look at the helmet. Watch the indicators, namely the right-hand side. Morgan's telling him, pass me on the right.
Mm-hmm.
He's lifting. He's telling him to pass on the right and gets past. And as he gets by, watch Morgan McCall's rear tail lights. He's he let the likes of Daniel Demetrius Petro go, knowing that he's not quite in the same fight, but that does give him the advantage to undercut in terms of a pit stop. First time we're seeing this, so I wonder if it's a strategy thing, because if I look at Morgan McCall, last lap time, his average lap times are in the 54s, while Daniel has been doing 53s. So maybe realizing it's no point holding up the fight, I've got to conserve my tires because there is no time to pit to swap out tires, but has the advantage now because if Daniel dives into the pits, Morgan McCall can react, or Morgan can get in the box and try and undercut.
Yeah, the other thing we just need to note, there is 12 minutes left. So essentially there's 6 to 7 laps left in this race. Ryan Ottens, Romano Jonker, they still need to do 2 pit stops in 6 to 7 laps. So that's almost getting to the point where they're going to have to double stop. What I mean is do a pit stop, do a lap, do another pit stop.
Yeah, that's it. Kleinans and Cameron de Bastos once again going at each other.
No,
Kleinans getting a bit of contact. And he tried his luck with Cameron de Bastos, both of them, unfortunate contact. And sure, I mean,
ouch.
They tried. They tried. Nicholas Manuel also getting past Kleinans, but that's definitely
It's not getting any happier.
That's gone and hurt the tires properly. Lots of little things going on though, and has got lots of people trying to figure out what's happening, because defending, was it worth to defend, to fight it out with the tires, or to just try and work it out a different way? Lots of people are going to be thinking, what are the strategies? What's going through the heads? And this is what makes racing, and sim racing in particular, so interesting. Because in sim racing, so you see Ryan Ottens, he's right onto the back of one of the Genesis cars. And I think that actually may be...
I'll tell you now.
Not quite sure he's actually on the back on. gets past him. So whoever it is, thank you.
It's Mayer.
That's Mayer. So Mayer leading by, and also having won the other Genesis cars. I do want to point out, Henry Mayer's battling out with Justin Lotus right behind him. Henry Mayer is in 17th position. Justin Lotus in 18th. Henry's had a hell of a climb.
Yeah.
20-second
Good
damage.
comeback drive.
20-second damage.
Okay.
I mean, that's actually really good. But Justin Lotus is going to be saying, nice drive, buddy, but I'm coming after you, and I'm not going to make life easy for you. You've had a difficult race, but, well, there's championship points here. You're wearing the red shirt. I'm wearing the blue shirt. It's red versus blue. Let's go for it.
But you know what's the downside to all of this, as we see Mayer in 17th position? Now, you've got such a good drive or a comeback drive after you've had that early on damage. You're driving in 18th position, you're thinking to yourself, what could have been if I didn't have the damage?
Now, that's it. Now, I also want to point out, while we're into the remaining 10 minutes of the race, that we have Ryan Ottens up 6 positions from where he started. Tariq Adam down 1 position from where he started. Daniel Demetrios Pricho, he is up. He is in the same place where he started. He's right up against one of the Hybrid Academy and EG Evolved Road to Pro cars. Morgan McCall is exactly where he started. Christopher Radloff up 4 positions. Johan van der Merwe up 5 positions. Kieran Duplessis up 3 positions. Ronaldo Boersma down 2 positions. Romano Jonker up 19 positions from where he started. Daniel De Villiers up 3 positions from where he started. Giovanni Porzera is down 6 positions from where he started. Cameron de Bastos up 2. Nicholas Manuel down 1. Johan Kleinans up 11. Mahiz Musa up 4. SESA is up 6. Henry Mayer down 9 positions from where he started. He started in 8th as he comes to blow with... Oh, that was Justin Lotus and Vincent Nell getting caught into that. Okay, right. We caught that last.
Alrighty then.
All right, Tim the cameraman, give us a bit of an aerial shot on that one, because Justin Lotus trying to go around the outside, gets the jump. Side by side, Vincent Nell though, a little bit of argy-bargy between the two, nothing too bad there. Comes across the nose, and Vincent Nell nowhere to go but into the side of a Ferrari.
Arriving at the scene of the accident.
Arriving at the scene of the crime, and unfortunately you're wearing the red shoes.
Yeah, now I just want to know, Daniel Rowe, if you've got comms with Ryan Ottens, you maybe just want to remind him that there is only 6 minutes left of the pit stop window, and you need to do 2 pit stops. So you essentially have 3 laps to do your 2 pit stops.
Well, Morgan McCall took the fight to Kieran Duplessis, both of them going door to door against one another, but Kieran able to get past just fine, and Morgan McCall dropping back. But Morgan's completed all these pit stops. He's watching his mirrors for this man over here in 8th place, Ronaldo Boersma, who's got a lot of rotation on the rear of that Lamborghini. Tells me he's been pushing incredibly hard at this point. Kleinon's diving into the pits, so he's getting himself sorted. Otten's finally getting into the pits as well, so that's going to allow Tariq Adam through the NGK chicane, getting the drive up, and will be taking first place. But now it comes down to the wire. Who's going to pull the trigger first, Janneman, on this final pit stop? Vincent Nell, after Leclerc Basson, after his unfortunate contact a little bit earlier on, gets up on the inside, trying to go around the outside. Not going to be an easy one. Don't run track limits. He keeps it very, very wide, but keeps it all together. Tries to go for the cutback, but Basson in a monster of a fight. And I said this before, the drivers have pretty much like the Swan Lake dance through there, each having to try and figure out what they're trying to do. Oh, a little bit of contact. Vincent Nell into the back of Basson. No harm, no foul there, but they're going to go and take it down to the wire once again as they make their way down the hill, heading towards the hairpin.
Yeah, side by side, they are going to go, not backing out. So we've got Basson on the inside, Nell on the outside. they're just going to decide to run side by side through there, but Basson gets the better exit, and now Nell's going to follow him up through the Schumacher S's. Is he going to get close? Oh, he got a little bit out of shape. Lost a little bit of drive there and ground as well. So was thinking he's going to make a move or trying to make a move on the inside, but could not. So he will have to realign behind that Ferrari and try and get back in that toe down this back straight through the kink. And now we have a look at
Johan van der Merwe. He came out of the pits with Cameron de Bastos just chopping off his nose as well. And Johan van der Merwe completed his second pit stop. No, Cameron de Bastos just disconnected.
Just gone.
Did he? No, he's back.
No.
He's back. So
back?
He is having issues, though, because we did watch a yellow McLaren venture out to the grandstands, and that's a little bit on the worrying side for everyone.
Maybe just taking a wave to the crowd.
Oh, got to be careful with things like that. No, it's going to be sitting.
Yeah, Nell and Basson, they still over each other.
Yeah,
they're not backing down.
And a little bit further back for 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, Grant Sebastian, AJ de Kock, and Jamie Rees. Grant Sebastian has got a problem as he's got two teammates going and battling it out, and he's making that Mercedes as wide as possible. Jamie Rees onto the back of AJ de Kock going, listen, buddy, we got to get going here. A little bit further up the road, Vincent Nell, Justin Lotus, and Vincent Nell has got the inside, now got the outside, going to curve his way around. Justin Lotus going to take the fight, and Leclerc Basson just ahead of them. Oh, no, a little bit of contact. Vincent Nell tried coming off a curb. Justin Lotus gets a little bit of a knock, but they are going to take it down to the wire again, and unfortunately, there was only one way that was going to end. And take a look, Morgan McCall up on the inside of Kewan Duplessis, and Kewan goes for the cutback. Daniel Ricciardo would be proud.
Lick it and send it.
So we've got some proper running here. Kewan dealing with Morgan McCall. Morgan has done all his pit stops at the moment, and he is on a proper little charge. Now, I do want to point out, Kewan Duplessis is 31 seconds away from Ryan Ottens. Ryan Ottens is in third place, needing to do one more pit stop. He is 11 seconds away from Daniel DiMarco Prito, they apologize, and then Tariq Adam in first place is 7 seconds ahead of that. So the drivers aren't completely out of the woodwork just yet, and as you've pointed out, we got 3 minutes of the race. The pit window is only open for 1 minute and 57 seconds. So I know the guys can see time's running out, let them drive, but at this point, you and I have been in the situation where we start, hey, buddy, pal, amigo, friend, let's start talking. Jamie Rees, though, getting yellow flags, and I think he got caught out by the NGK chicane. Let's take a look back with him.
He was very slow when you switch to him.
Yeah, and this is into the NGK chicane. It's getting darker. The brake mark is becoming harder to find. Oh, there's the ramp. And yeah, no, the track, if you go left, you could go onto the old one, but that's taken him right out of his own little battle and dropped him down the order.
Yeah, stop, go. 30 seconds for Romano Yonka just popped up.
So, Romano Yonka, stop, go 30 seconds, but I do want to point out Tariq Adam completed all his pit stops. Daniel DiMarco Prito completed all his pit stops. So has Morgan McCall out into third place, getting the jump on Ryan Ottens. So it is going to be a fight down to the line. Ronaldo Buesma, who pitted early on in the race, is in sixth position. In fifth position. Christopher Adloff in sixth. Giovanni Porzio in 7th. 8th is Johan van der Merwe. 9th is Kewan Duplessis, who's actually lost out. That's Nicholas Manuel coming across the line. So Kewan Duplessis is still in the pits. Mahayath Musa trying to get the jump. 40 laps done and dusted. We've got 20 seconds left of the pit stops. Everyone has now officially done all their pit stops and will be racing flat out down to the wire. Ryan Ottens, though, needs to close the gap onto Morgan McCall, 1.8 seconds ahead of him. Daniel DiMarco Prito is 6.9. As we heard Jim just call, pit window is closed. So it is a race down to the wire. 50 seconds to go, and this is where you hope no mistakes come into play, but all the drivers cutting it very, very fine for the final pit stops.
Yeah, and at this stage, Morgan McCall, third position. It seems like his strategy worked out quite well for him. And Ryan Ottens in fourth position, leaving that first stop so late, maybe did not work out as well as he planned.
We just heard Tariq Adam is on his final lap. So Tariq has started the final lap. So is Daniel Petro, along with Morgan McCall and Ryan Ottens right behind him, closing down that distance. Ronaldo Boersma into fifth position. Now remember, Ronaldo Boersma was the first to complete all his pit stops. He's only able to get fifth. Christopher Radloff currently in sixth position. Then you got Giovanni Porzio in 7th. 8th is Johan van der Merwe. 9th, Nicholas Manuel. Mahayath Musa in that top 10, and he's putting up the fight. Q and Duplessis in 11th. 12th, SESA's Daniel de Villiers in 13th. 14th is Henry Mayer. Cameron de Bastos in 15th, followed by Leclubison, Vincent Nell, Alan Patterson, Johan Kleinans, Justin Lotus, Grant Sebastian, AJ de Kock right onto the back of him, trying to look for that inside line. And going further down, Eric Kirstein, Jamie Rees, Ulrich Sichers right onto the back of him, and Jean Viviers. And we just see Ramon Ionka clearing his drive-through penalty. He's down in 26th position. He was on such a good drive, and unfortunately came down to just one unfortunate pit stop going and slowing him up. A little bit of a close battle going on as AJ de Kock and Grant Sebastian, they're going to take it as they start their final lap of the race. And it's going to be Mercedes versus Ferrari. We do have a car stopped on Circuit. That's 7th place. That's Eric Kirstein. Sorry, that's car number 7 in 25th. Eric Kirstein losing out, and he's trying to get himself going. And that was out of the final corner, so that's dropped him way, way down the order. But here comes Tariq Adam taking first place across the line. Yet another win for the driver and scoring maximum points. Second, Daniel Petro. And followed in third place, give it up, Morgan McCall with Ryan Ottens right up his bumper, ensuring there will be a close fight. Ronaldo Boersma in fifth. Sixth place, though, is still on the line. Christopher Radloff, Giovanni Porzio, and Giovanni goes off. Giovanni goes off the circuit. He's trying to pull himself back, but that has pretty much killed his chances, outbraking himself. He will take 7th position. Johan van der Merwe will be taking 8th. Nicholas Manuel in 9th. 10th going to Mahayath Musa. Q Duplessis, SESA's in 12th. 13th is Daniel de Villiers, who's got Henry Mayer, the man who got a huge smack at the start, now is on a charge to try and get that 13th position. Daniel the Hitman de Villiers is not going to let it go. Over the curbs, you can see them ramping it. And onto the grass. That's going to kill Mayer's drive. So I think Daniel de Villiers will be holding on to that 13th position. 14th going to Henry Mayer. Cameron de Bastos in 15th. Leclubison, Vincent Nell, Alan Patterson in 18th. 19th, Johan Clans, Justin Lotus. Grant Sebastian has got AJ de Kock all over the back of him. But it does look like Grant Sebastian has done enough to keep that Mercedes ahead of the Ferrari of AJ de Kock. Jamie Rees has got Ulrich Sichers. The two of them are still fighting it out. Jamie Rees getting past Ulrich Sichers. And now it is going to be into the NGK chicane. Teammate versus teammate. Ulrich does look for the dive on the inside. He backs out of it though, second guessing it. Maybe getting that alert of, not a good idea to go and... Oh, he goes for it though on the inside. They're going to take it down to the wire. Jamie Rees side by side between the two. No. Side by side. Jamie Rees, Ulrich Sichers. So, Ulrich going and backing off right at the last. But if he really wanted to be special, he could have just given it a little bit of gas. But that takes our field. So let's head on to a break before we move on to summing up the race.
Amabogobogo are defending their title in France this year. Stuur ons bokke op hul pad met jou beste stem en saai gwejo yako by entering your school or club's gwejo anthem into the MTN Gwejo Challenge. Win your share of R1,000,000 by doing what it takes. Sponise, MTN, doing what it takes.
And we are back with a bit of the highlight action of the amazing racing out there. What we just saw for the Grid Championship Round 4, fueled by MTN, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. Gentlemen, what a race that was.
Yeah, we saw, Stephen, very close battles down the grid. I mean, it's always nice to see that after an hour and 20 minutes of racing, cars can cross that start-finish line so close together. Look at third and fourth place. Morgan McCall third, Ryan Orton's fourth. I don't think Ryan's strategy worked out quite as well as he maybe would have planned, but the strategy of Morgan McCall worked out absolutely beautiful. And I think Morgan couldn't have asked for better. First race that he's finished this season, and he comes home in third place. Now, it's always also one of those, double-edged sword kind of things. Get your first finish of the season in third, and it makes you think, what could have been if I could have finished all the other races that I've...
Well, I could tell you, Robert McCall will be absolutely thrilled. Tariq Adam, though, maximizing the points. He had a fantastic run out there. Looking at the listing, so Unrik Sikkers finished behind Jamie Reese by 0.1 of a second. Henry Mayer finished behind Daniel de Villiers for 13th and 14th position, 0.4 of a second. And that's how close it came down to the wire for a lot of these drivers. And as we see on the highlights, the guys are door to door throughout the race. We saw some fantastic racing, some proper gentleman racing, I've got to say, where the guys were giving you a millimeter, but nothing more. It was really, really exciting to see, and I can't wait as we head into round 5 coming up next week. But Janeman, let's take a look at what's coming up. Here at Mettlestate, we have got tons and tons of competitions happening this August, heading into September, October, November, and December. So head over to Mettlestate.com to go and join in the casual cups that they have, whether you like going and playing a little bit of Fortnite or whether you like having a bit of Clash of Clans. There is a bit for everyone over at Mettlestate.com. Here at RaceFace, we do have on the weekend, 2nd of September, there we have round 3 of our GT3 endurance race at Silverstone. Looking forward to seeing the guys doing battling out there. 6 hours of pure racing for the guys to climb the ladder all the way through. Also coming up next week, 5th of September, something you're involved in. Alton Park in the F4, brought to you by RaceFace. Some open wheel action, and I know that's something you chomping at the bit for it.
Yeah, I think Alton Park and the F4 is a very, very good match, especially, because one of the chicanes didn't make it to the feature race. So that last sector, great fun in the F4, fast flowing circuit through there, and interesting car to drive, but really looking forward to it, and to a little bit of a different challenge after we had our GT racing over the...
Yep, and that's it. And also talking about some open wheel racing, we do have round 7 of our RaceFace F1 2023 here at RaceFace, heading over to the Temple of Speed, Monza, where the guys are going to have a bit of fun, see who can get into the DRS zones, and try and have a bit of fun. Hopefully we don't see 2 F1 cars going and tumbling over one another like we've seen in real life, but I think with our pros out there, it's going to be an incredible one. Sign-ups still wide open for all the different races, such as the Grid Championship, right into our open single-seaters. Round 6, also next week for our GT3 Sprint Series as we start getting closer and closer to the end. Heading over to Messino as a start of a build-up. Going to be a very interesting race indeed. Messino being one of these circuits that has developed a love-hate relationship amongst the field. Some absolutely adoring it, some not so much, but being a track that was originally built for bikes, then got into some having some tin top racing is always incredible. After that, we do have Messina round 5 of our Grid Championship, powered by MTN, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. For round 5, we over the halfway mark now, and we are getting closer and closer to the end of the championship to try and maximize the points. Who's going to climb out on top? Who's going to walk away with the prize pool? We're only going to find out as it all continues. And the 9th of September, round 5, we head over to Germany for our RaceFace Automobilista 2 racing. It's going to be an incredible one, not to be missed. The guy's going to be doing battle that is live stream for everyone to see as well. And then also on the 12th of September, Okayama for the final round of our RaceFace TCR Championship. It's going to be an awesome race to be had. But Yaneman, we're done. We're dusted. Round 4, done and dusted of the Grid Championship, fueled by MTN. And I've got to say, this is absolutely incredible. There is MTN in these fuel tanks, and the racing is only getting better, faster, quicker, and just becoming more and more exciting.
Absolutely, Stephen. Now that half of the season is done, we've done 4 races, another 4 to go. So let's see what happens in the second half of the season. There be drivers that will be able to take the fight to Tariq Adams and break his winning streak.
Well, that's it. He's got a streak at the moment, and that's the double-edged blade. Let's see who's going to be able to break it. But as we go and sign ourselves off, we'd like to say a big thank you to all our sponsors, the likes of MTN, for being a massive part of it, along with Mettlestate. Glad to have you guys. And remember, they have got a challenge going on where you stand a chance to win a bag. That's a share of R1 million for your school or sports club. Man, I'm going to enter. I'm going to try my luck for the MTN Pulse. And MTN, a proud sponsor of our nation Springboks. Good to see it. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us out in the grandstands, not only over at twitch.tv/Mettlestate, where there was a huge party going on. Glad to see it. But also over at RaceFace out on YouTube. The guys also putting in a huge amount of fun, giving us information as well. So go take a look at Mettlestate out on YouTube, and also take a look at RaceFace on YouTube. I know RaceFace, we're up to 960. We're close to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and that's what I want for Christmas. Other than my 2 front teeth. 2 front teeth, if I can put it that way. Teeth, got to do it right.
At this rate, Stephen, 960 subscribers, you might just get it by Christmas. You never know.
That's it. But ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, we'd like to say thank you very much for joining us this evening. On behalf of myself, Stephen Koenig, the world's fastest backmarker, and Yaneman Price, the world's slowest alien, we'd like to say thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.